This is Caligula, 1979.
And you will be my queen.
You can't marry your sister.
You can in Egypt.
But we're in Rome.
The film so scandalous it was banned before audiences could even see it. The movie that made Roger Ebert walk out of his own screening. A production so chaotic that its own director and writer tried to remove their names from it. But here's what you don't know about history's most controversial epic. The A-list cast thought they were making Shakespeare. They ended up in the most expensive adult film ever produced. The emperor, who demanded to be worshipped as a god, became a character no actor wanted to claim. And the Penthouse magazine founder who financed it? He turned a historical drama into hardcore pornography without telling anyone. Tonight, we're descending into the madness of ancient Rome. But this time, we're not just watching the empire burn. We're watching a movie production self-destruct in real time. These are 20 weird facts about Caligula. And trust me, they're stranger than anything the emperor himself ever did. Fact number 1. The $1 million rejection that saved a legend. Orson Welles was offered $1 million to play Tiberius, the highest salary of his entire career. He read Gore Vidal's script and immediately said no. Not because of the money, because of the morality. The man who made Citizen Kane couldn't stomach what Bob Guccione wanted to create. Welles walked away from more money than he'd ever seen, leaving Peter O'Toole to inherit the role of the diseased, depraved emperor. Sometimes the smartest career move is the one you don't make. Fact number 2. The Great Deception. Shakespeare meets pornography.
Don't waste time! Our senators' wives are not merely beautiful, like their husbands. They're insatiable.
Malcolm McDowell, Helen Mirren, John Gielgud, and Peter O'Toole thought they were making a serious historical drama. They signed contracts for nudity and simulated sex scenes. What they got was something entirely different. Bob Guccione, the Penthouse magazine founder, waited until principal photography was complete, then brought in his own crew and Penthouse models to film hardcore pornographic scenes. The A-list actors didn't find out their film had become an X-rated spectacle until they saw it in theaters. McDowell later called it a real betrayal. Fact number 3. The Penthouse pets, who became Roman nobles. Among the women used in Guccione's secret sex scenes was British model Jane Hargrave, who claimed Guccione showed actresses bestiality videos and convinced women to perform real sex acts on camera. These weren't trained actresses. They were Penthouse centerfolds dressed as Roman citizens. The contrast was jarring. Oscar-worthy performances from theatrical legends cut together with amateur adult film footage. It was cinematic whiplash. Fact number 4. The ultimate cut that nobody wanted. 45 years later, producer Thomas Negavan went through 90 hours of original footage to create Caligula, the ultimate cut, a version with zero pornographic content and completely different takes. Malcolm McDowell, who had spent decades ashamed of the film, finally endorsed this new version. The result? Critics discovered that buried under Guccione's exploitation was actually a brilliant political satire about the corruption of absolute power. Fact number 5. The real birth scene that traumatized everyone.
It's a girl.
It is not a girl. Did you not hear Caesar say?
I heard the voice of Caesar.
For Helen Mirren's character's childbirth scene, they used 3 actual pregnant women and a team of real doctors dressed as Romans. They filmed genuine childbirth and edited it into the movie. This wasn't special effects. This was documentary footage of actual human birth spliced into a historical epic. Even in a film known for boundary pushing, this scene shocked the cast and crew. Fact number 6. The screenplay that cost $200,000 and caused a lawsuit. Gore Vidal was paid $200,000 to write the screenplay, a massive sum in 1976. He crafted a sophisticated political allegory about power corruption. Then Guccione started rewriting it to add more sex and violence. Vidal sued to have his name removed from the project entirely. The final film credits read, based on an original screenplay by Gore Vidal, the literary equivalent of a restraining order. Fact number 7. The director who made Nazi porn but drew the line here. Tinto Brass had just directed Salon Kitty, a Nazi exploitation film known for its shocking content. Yet even he thought Caligula was going too far. When Guccione kept pushing for more explicit material, Brass quit during post-production. A director comfortable with taboo subject matter found Guccione's vision too extreme to stomach.
I like both, Lord.
One needs both. Yes, to keep healthy.
Fact number 8. The disease makeup that made Peter O'Toole unrecognizable. Peter O'Toole's Tiberius was covered in prosthetic syphilitic sores, representing the emperor's venereal disease. The makeup took 4 hours daily and was so convincing that O'Toole's own family didn't recognize him in publicity photos. He had stopped drinking before filming, but Guccione later claimed O'Toole was strung out on something throughout production. The transformation from Lawrence of Arabia to diseased Roman emperor was complete. Fact number 9. The football bill that exposed Malcolm McDowell's character. According to Guccione, McDowell took the entire cast and crew to an expensive restaurant to celebrate England's victory over Italy in a football match. When the bill came, McDowell claimed he'd forgotten to bring enough money and left the choreographer to pay for everyone. This wasn't method acting, this was just McDowell being difficult on set. Fact number 10. The premiere that turned into a police raid. When Caligula opened in Rome on November 11, 1979, it was the highest-grossing film of the weekend. 4 days later, Italian police confiscated the film reels, calling the content flagrantly obscene. The movie had a shorter theatrical run than Caligula's actual reign as emperor.
Eu, Caligula César, ordeno em nome do Senado e do povo de Roma.
Fact number 11. The customs seizure that became free marketing. When Guccione tried to import the film footage to America, customs officials seized it at the border. Federal agents didn't declare it obscene, but the seizure created exactly the kind of controversy Guccione wanted. He called it the kind of coverage money can never buy. Sometimes the best marketing campaign is a government ban. Fact number 12. The theater that became Penthouse East for the American premiere, Guccione rented the Trans-Lux East Theater exclusively and renamed it Penthouse East for the film's run. He refused to submit the film to the MPAA for any rating, instead creating his own mature audiences classification. This was the ultimate vanity project, a theater renamed after your magazine to show your controversial movie. Fact number 13. Helen Mirren's art and genitals defense. While most of the cast distanced themselves from the film, Helen Mirren defended her involvement, famously describing Caligula as an irresistible mix of art and genitals. She believed European cinema was reaching a new level of sexual freedom and felt it was the time to do nudity. Mirren remained proud of her role as the most promiscuous woman in all of Rome. Fact number 14. The Leonardo DiCaprio inspiration nobody saw coming. Leonardo DiCaprio cited Caligula as an influence on his performance as Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street. The connection? Both characters represent the corruption that comes with absolute power, whether imperial or financial. DiCaprio studied McDowell's portrayal of a man drunk on his own authority.
I decide what is treason, not you. Dance! Dance? Yes.
Fact number 15. The Roger Ebert walkout that became legend. Roger Ebert, who had sat through thousands of terrible movies, walked out of Caligula after 2 hours of its 170-minute runtime. His review began, "Caligula is sickening, utterly worthless, shameful trash." He called it one of the worst films he'd ever seen, yet couldn't bring himself to watch it to the end. For a critic who prided himself on seeing every film completely, this was the ultimate condemnation. Fact number 16. The Maria Schneider escape that saved her career. Maria Schneider, famous from Last Tango in Paris, was originally cast as Drusilla, Caligula's sister lover. She became uncomfortable with the nudity requirements and literally sewed up the open tunic she was supposed to wear on camera. When that didn't work, she fled the production entirely. Teresa Ann Savoy replaced her, and Schneider's career avoided the Caligula curse. Fact number 17. The biggest budget independent film that nobody wanted to claim. At the time, Caligula was the most expensive independent film ever made. Despite its massive budget and A-list cast, nobody wanted to take credit for it. The final film has no director or writer credits. It's possibly the only major motion picture in history that appears to have made itself. Fact number 18. The Francois Coppola comparison that nobody expected. Francis Ford Coppola's recent film, Megalopolis, has been compared to Caligula by critics, not for content, but for ambition meeting madness. Both films represent auteur visions that pushed so hard against conventional filmmaking that they became almost unwatchable. Sometimes artistic courage and commercial suicide look exactly the same. Fact number 19. The Cannes screening that shocked the world. When a 3.5-hour version premiered at the 1979 Cannes Film Festival, audiences booed. Critics called it a moral holocaust. Variety compared it to a war crime rather than entertainment. Yet somehow, this reaction was exactly what Guccione had hoped for. In the world of exploitation cinema, hatred is just another form of attention. Fact number 20. The fake remake trailer that became art. In 2005, artist Francesco Vezzoli created a fake trailer for Gore Vidal's Caligula as a promotion for Versace accessories. It featured Helen Mirren, Gerard Butler, Mila Jovovich, and Courtney Love in a hypothetical remake. The trailer was screened at the Whitney Museum of American Art. Somehow, a fake trailer for a never-made sequel became more respectable than the original film. Bonus fact: the Canadian band that outlasted the Roman Empire. Caligula remains banned in Canada and Iceland to this day, 45 years after its release. The film has been censored longer than the actual Roman Empire lasted. In some ways, Bob Guccione achieved the immortality that Caligula himself craved. The emperor demanded to be worshipped as a god. Guccione created a movie so notorious that governments still fear it. Caligula wasn't just a movie about power corrupting absolutely. It was a movie where power corrupted the very process of making it. Bob Guccione had absolute control over the final cut, and he used that power to betray everyone who trusted him: the writers, the director, the actors, and ultimately, the audience. But here's the twisted irony. In trying to make the most controversial film ever created, Guccione accidentally made a perfect metaphor for the story he was telling. Just like the real Caligula, he started with noble intentions and endless resources, then descended into madness that destroyed everything around him. 45 years later, we're still talking about it. Still debating it, still trying to understand how something so ambitious became so notorious. In the end, maybe that's the most Roman thing about Caligula. It conquered through scandal what it couldn't win through art. What do you think? Is Caligula a misunderstood masterpiece or exploitation cinema at its worst? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what other controversial films we should investigate. Because in Hollywood, just like in ancient Rome, the best stories are always the ones they tried to bury.